Archaeology is like a big adventure. It's like traveling through time, trying to find secrets from people who lived long ago. From the tombs of Egyptian kings to the broken-down buildings of old cities, everything we dig up tells a story. These discoveries can change how we think about history, showing us how smart, creative, and tough people were way back when. Each new thing we find helps us understand what it means to be human, connecting us to our ancestors in amazing ways. Finding something new is super exciting in archaeology. Imagine finding a secret room in a pyramid or a lost city buried for hundreds of years, or even a small old tool. It's thrilling, even for experienced archaeologists. These amazing discoveries aren't just exciting, they help us rewrite history, question what we thought we knew, and admire how clever and strong people were in the past. Archaeology isn't just about digging up old stuff, it's about understanding the people who made and used those things. It's like putting together a puzzle of their lives, their beliefs, their worries, and their dreams. Every broken piece of pottery, every tool, every piece of jewelry tells a story, showing us a little bit of what life was like thousands of years ago. Through these little pieces of the past, we learn more about our shared human story. The things archaeologists find aren't just for history books. They can amaze and inspire everyone. The detailed carvings on an old temple, the careful paintings on a cave wall, the huge size of a Roman stadium. These amazing things from the past can make us feel like we're in a different time and place. They make us use our imaginations and remind us how creative and clever people have always been. Egypt, the land of pharaohs and pyramids, is a place that fascinates people all over the world. Its ancient civilization, with its special ceremonies, amazing buildings, and knowledge of stars and math, still amazes us today. Recently, archaeologists have made incredible discoveries in Egypt, teaching us new things about the people who lived there a long time ago. In April 2019, archaeologists working near Luxor found the 2,500-year-old mummy of a high priest. The mummy, found in a beautifully decorated tomb, was incredibly well preserved, still wearing fancy jewelry and charms. They found something called a Djed pillar inside the tomb. It's a symbol of Osiris, the god of the underworld. This shows us how important this god was to the ancient Egyptians and their beliefs about what happens after death. The Djed pillar, a symbol of strength and coming back to life, was very important in their religion. This discovery helps us understand how ancient Egyptians buried their dead and what they believed about the afterlife. The Djed pillar shows how important Osiris was in helping people pass into the afterlife. Finding the mummy of the high priest reminds us that archaeology can teach us a lot about the past. It shows us what ancient Egyptians believed, reminding us that people have always wondered about death and what happens after we die and the meaning of life. Mesopotamia, a place some people call the beginning of civilization, is full of history and mystery. It's where some of the world's first cities and empires were built, where writing was invented, and where some of the first great stories were told. In 2003, German archaeologists working in the old city of Uruk in modern-day Iraq found something amazing. A tomb they think belonged to Gilgamesh, the hero of a very famous old story. The Epic of Gilgamesh, one of the oldest stories ever written, tells the story of Gilgamesh, king of Uruk, and his search for a way to live forever. The story talks about friendship, sadness, and what life means, things that still matter to people today. The tomb found under the Euphrates River was full of cool stuff, like gold jewelry, weapons, and pottery. If this really is Gilgamesh's tomb, it could teach us so much about his life and the time he lived in, and maybe even if the story about him is true. Whether or not it's really Gilgamesh's tomb shows how hard it can be for archaeologists to understand the past, and how important science is in figuring out if something is real. Imagine going back in time, over 30,000 years ago, to a place where people first started to make art. Chauvet Cave in France has some of the oldest and most beautiful cave paintings in the world. These ancient paintings show us what our ancestors were thinking, how they saw the world, and how they could draw and paint. It's really amazing. The story of early humans is all about surviving, adapting, and being clever. By studying archaeological sites, we can learn how our ancestors lived, worked, and thrived in a world that was often dangerous and difficult. tools, artifacts, and the remains of old settlements help us understand their daily lives and how tough they were. Archaeology is full of mysteries that still fascinate us. From the strange stones of Stonehenge to lost cities buried in the sand, these puzzles make us question what we know about history and encourage us to explore the unknown. These archaeological mysteries are so interesting because they connect us to the past, make us curious, and inspire us to keep learning.